All right, guys, I got that sheetrock on and I'm cruising. But man, this back country road in Arkansas, they definitely could have made this wider. I guess I should just be thankful that it's paved, right?
Hello, I'm a truck. You've heard songs about truck drivers, many times their stories told. How they pulled out of Pittsburgh for 6 days on the road, out the Feather River Canyon, and climbing the old grapevine, that old roadhouse down in Texas, and the girls they've left behind. You've heard their tales of daring, and I think that's just fine. But if you can spare a minute, well, I'd like to tell you mine. There'd be no truck drivers if it wasn't for us trucks. No double clutching, gear jamming, cartwheel cranking nuts.
And when that stopped, all the freight that I had in those areas disappeared. So I got to where I was at the dead end out of Arizona, quit going out.
More drivers that are here illegally too want to haul it for as cheap as possible, and that puts more money in the broker's pocket because they're happy to do it. For example, I want $3 a mile. Let's say on the average, if with urban suburban might haul the same load for only $1.95 a mile. So yeah, the broker's going to go with him versus me because he's going to put more money in his pocket.
Right. Yep. And someone else pointed out that it's hard to compete when the trucking industry is open to the third world, and everybody can just come over here and compete with us.
Yeah, Tim, really, started back when Barack Obama came in the office. He waived the English standard and all that stuff, and that's when we seen the influx. But, yeah, regardless of your politics or whatnot, I think Donald Trump is doing the right thing on that, trying to get all these American truck drivers for Americans. That's the way it should be. I mean, no, you can't get a passport, a U.S. passport, unless you're a U.S. citizen or a natural born citizen. So why would you not do the same for CDLs? I mean, you can look at it as a national security issue because I'm a retired Marine officer and shuts down everything from my food, water, medicine, general freight, everything.
Yeah, even military freight. I do a lot of military loads every time I find them.
Yeah, definitely. I do the same thing.
So what do you think is going to happen here if we start enforcing that? Do you think we're going to see rates increase? Do you think we're going to see volumes increase? What are you predicting?
I've been doing this almost 20 years now, so if I had to guess, rates have started slowly generating towards the upward mark. It's good. It's kind of like this. Imagine a loaf of bread, and your loaf of bread is the customer. You can lose a customer a loaf at a time, but you have to gain it back a slice at a time. So, with that being said, it's going to be a slow process, but as long as we can maintain what the government is doing right now, I would say probably within a year or two, I think you're going to see a big jump. I think it's going to go back to the way it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty encouraged right now in this marketplace. I was able to survive, the downturn, so to speak, and I think that we're looking to come out of it. And then with some enforcement on the, illegal CDL side, that might help. So I don't know.
Well, where you're going to see the biggest rate increases is going to be your central part of the United States, like Oklahoma, Kansas, Alaska, Texas, for the most part, and Arkansas. Pretty much your center part of the United States where they're going to enforce these laws very strict and rigorously. But then where you're going to see it finally pick up on the other end, a couple years down the road, will be your Californias, Washington, New Mexico, Arizona's, states like that actually turn a blind eye towards the illegals.
Interesting. I come up with the same conclusion, except for a different reason. I was thinking that the center of the country could be good just because the outskirts of the country, the ports are not going to be importing quite as much due to Trump's policies. And but the center of the country should be producing more, hopefully.
Yeah, right now with the Google data centers being built, all that, and it's going to take at least 5 years for manufacturing to catch up with all the plants that Donald Trump is getting all these other countries to invest in trying to get our manufacturing back up. That could take a minimum of 5 years, and then eventually it kick back in. But you're going to get a lot of these illegals that are going to try to stay away from the central to the United States, and they're not going to want to come here to deliver, and they're not going to want to come here to pick up loads. They're going to try to stay in more friendly territories like the more liberal states. So you're going to see freight rates actually start picking back up.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point, though.
Yeah, just keep the faith. I've been on operator now for 5 years, and I've seen it in industry-wide overall in 20 years. I've seen it up and down, and now we're coming into the slow season for open deck freight. So I think come spring and summer next year, I think you're going to see more of an average of, right now it's about average for your flatbed, it's about an average of about $2.25 a mile. I think you're going to start seeing about $2.60, $2.75 a mile, hopefully $3 a mile next spring.
Well, one can hope, right? I think. Hey, what do you think about this? I think that, like you said, it's going to take 5 years to produce factories. I agree with you on that. On the open deck side, though, we haul a lot of the construction materials to go to build these factories, so we might start to see this happen a little earlier. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. When it comes to your wood, your lumber is always going to be somewhat cheaper, unfortunately. But when it comes to insulation panels and stuff like food manufacturing, types of food, stuff like that, new plants and new freezers that are going to be built, you're going to see insulation pop up really good. You're going to see steel coils. That's actually going to jump up quite a bit because they're going to need sheets of metal and stuff for whatever the case may be, plate steel for manufacturing their equipment and for raw materials to start building the equipment. So I'd say that's probably, you're going to probably start seeing that here in at least a couple of years, because it's going to take at least 5 years to get the plant from the ground all the way to finished goods, start producing product. So yeah, I would say the open deck plate's going to see the bump on it first, and then the dry vans and the reefers will see it on the tail end after 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I wonder, the question is, how quickly will this happen? And I think your time frame's probably right. I think Trump's hope is it happens immediately, but I think you're right. I think it's not gonna.
No, and it's already happening now. For example, they're putting a lot of infrastructure investing right now in AI technology. So Google is right now leading the way with that. I have a lot of data modules out of Tulsa going to these different AI centers. That's already starting to kick in a gear. Some of these other clothes and textile manufacturing plants, they've got places in Georgia and South Carolina, from what I'm hearing from buddy of mine that runs that part of the country. They're starting to break ground over there, and we got new power plants that are going to be starting to get built to power all these AI centers. So I'd say that's the year we're going to start seeing probably the first kickoff of that, probably spring or summer next year. And then you're going to get your renewable resources like your winds, for example. That's going to actually start dying down because they're not getting government subsidies. But you're going to start seeing a lot of the construction stuff start picking up. I'd say probably spring and summer next year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be slower than we'd hoped for, though. I think it might be a slow increase, but any increase from here is appreciated.
Yeah, it's going to be a slow increase probably the first phase, but whenever they start getting the second phase going, and some of these other plants like maybe U.S. Steel and some of these other mom and pops that plan on trying to get the game, it's no different like COVID when everybody was like, oh hell, I'm going to go buy a bunch of trucks, so I'm going to start doing this because food rates are good. Well, that's good kind of damage. So you're going to get a lot. We're going to see a huge spike probably. We're going to see a small spike next summer, then we'll see probably a medium spike year after that. Probably on the third year, we're going to see a huge spike, and it's going to last for another 2 years after that. Then it'll start kind of leveling off for us, but then it'll start back up when these plants start manufacturing their goods, because we'll start manufacturing, like engines and stuff like that. That'll have to go on our open deck. So, yeah, just hang in there. That's all I'm doing.
Right. What do you tend to like to do on your flatbed? Do you tend to like to go short, keep your rate up, or go long and keep your revenue up?
It varies. Right now, I'm chasing the dollar, but since they've started repowering these wind farms and stuff, I've been pretty much staying close to home. I live in Tulsa, so I'm just running back and forth to Wichita to Lyman right now for the last few days, and then Saturday, I'll be back in Kansas running those hubs for the wind farms back to Tulsa, Oklahoma for refurbishment, and I'll be doing that for a while. But normally, if I'm not on the wind farm project, I'm pretty much going wherever the dollar goes. But I do have my states to stay out of. I don't go to California, Washington, Oregon. I don't go to Montana. I pretty much stay in the central part of the United States. If you take a dot right there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and draw 1,000 miles circumference around Tulsa, Oklahoma, that's pretty much where I stay at.
Gotcha. Do you look at like having to hit a certain revenue per week is what you like what you try to hit? Do you try to hit a certain dollar amount per week for all miles, or how do you figure that for your own business?
Okay, so everybody does it differently, and there's really no right or wrong way to do it on how you want to do it. But for me, I don't even calculate my deadhead miles because the way I look at it, because I used to be a driver manager in a load planner for Melton Truck Lines, and they calculate deadhead miles and all that. I don't. I look at it as a cost of doing business. So, for example, if I see, I try to do at least a minimum of $6,500 a week, or at least $1,000 a day. That's my cutoff. I won't haul a load. If it's a short load, if it's on main 800, I will only entertain it because if I know my next load's doing, let's say, $1,200 to $1,300, and it's next day delivery after that, then that's supposed to be right to my $1,000 a day average, and that's where I want to be at. But I try to do about $6,500 a week, and that's where I stay at.
Gotcha. Yeah, you and I are pretty similar. I do damn near the same thing. I do figure deadhead. I get a little crazy. I might be a little bit of a math nerd on that, but I try to figure $1,000 a day. If I see a load for $800, I will try not to book it unless the same thing like you say. If I book a short one, I'll have to take a long one, a bigger one. So yeah, I try to remain that $1,000 per day. Sometimes we don't quite hit it with the 34 resets. Like this week, I'm looking at $950 a day. But yeah, we try to hit that number, and we normally stay. Both Jeff and I, both my drivers, stay pretty near that $900 a day mark, which we just struggle to get over that 1,000 because of the the reset day in the middle, and I've kind of stopped doing oversized freight, so we don't have those big loads.
Yeah, I can understand that. As long as you can maintain that, it's great. Obviously, truck payments are a factor, but the reason why I quit factoring deadhead in because it makes me cry because it just dropped that rate per mile down so significantly. But the only time I factor in my deadhead is when I get started on these wind farm projects because it's usually, like for example, I got to go Wichita alignment, then I got a deadhead back to do another one. So that's the only time I factor it in, and then that's when it comes bankable because those wind industries they got deep pockets, so they're willing to pay for dedicated trucks. But you gotta have either a tri-axle RGN or a 4-axle truck and trailer, so it gets a little pricey, but that's the only time I factor in the deadhead. 9 times out of 10, I don't. I just look at my fuel consumption, and I know that my fixed cost of my truck and trailer just to maintain it is $1.37 a mile. So anything above that is obviously going to be either a little bit of profit or a lot of profit depending on what it is. But my drop day cost is $1.37 a mile. So if there's a load on the load board that's paying $1.25, obviously I'm stupid and I'm not going to take it. I just assume deadhead all the way from Seattle, Washington, back to Tulsa, Oklahoma for a haul freight, cheap freight.
Gotcha. So you pretty much know what your cost per mile is to operate that truck. You're in that red Pete Hemi, right? Okay. What year is that?
2023, and I've got 18 months left, and she's paid off.
Holy cow, that's a new truck. You got a Cummins in there?
Yeah, Cummins X15. I bought it March of 2022. Bought it with 1,000 miles on it. Brand new from Fishville, Peterbilt, Birmingham, and now I've got 523,000 on it.
Gotcha. What gear set do you have in the back end?
This is my second trailer I bought, so this one's a 2020 tri-axle lid now, bigger Bubba.
Okay, it's the tri-axle step deck?
Correct.
What gear ratio is in your rear end gears?
Oh, you had to ask me that, I forgot. 383s, I believe.
Would it be 308? That was a common gear set, 308?
It might might be. I forgot what it was.
Okay. What transmission?
18-speed, 8-4.
So what's your RPM right now? And I imagine you're in top gear.
I'm at 18th gear, running 65 miles an hour, and RPMs are about 1350.
Okay, yeah, I bet you that's 308s. I would have to guess.
You might be right. I've touched that then.
You got low pro 22s or you got tall 24s? You might be 325s. 325 was a really popular gear in that year. Might be 325s.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig through my own build sheet when I ordered the truck. Now I can't even find it. I'm kind of curious about it now.
Should be on. I want to say they put it on the door there, but it's not like it matters. You can't change it. What do you see for fuel mileage in that X15? I've been wondering how those are doing. The X15 seems like they've come a long ways.
Well, like I said, I'm grossed out at 111,000. I'm getting 6.3 miles per gallon right now at 65 miles an hour, 66 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 111,000.
Correct.
What do you get on a standard load? You know, roughly 80,000 pounds. What do you normally see?
Just like you, it depends on how tall it is, how wide it is, and all that good stuff. But if I had this same load, but just say not as heavy, I would probably be pushing 7.2, 7.3 right now.
Okay. Yeah, that X15 I think is pretty efficient. What model did you? Is it the 565?
Yeah, it's 565 performance.
Yeah, and so honestly, if it was built for efficiency, I wonder what it would get, because that's the performance model, and that one wasn't really known for high fuel efficiency.
No, the performance will probably run about 10-15% better. I would say that's probably a good estimate.
Since you've owned it, what do you think about the Cummins? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What's your opinion?
Well, Cummins, I don't have a kitty cat in here, but long story short, I'm fine with Cummins, and then if they pass this law that just got submitted to Congress, where we can manually delete the trucks, I'll be the first one in line to get it done.
Have you had issues with your emissions?
No, the only thing I had with it was like 11,000 miles, the EGR valve went out, and that was under warranty at the time, so they just put a stop the new one on. And every once in a while, if the voltage drops, because I got the digital dash, if my batteries act a little funny or if something just spikes, it will throw a D-rate 249 minutes, but 9 times out of 10, I just turn off the truck, cut off the battery, and wait 30 minutes, turn it back on, and it disappears. But I also carry a laptop with me with Cummins Insight, so if worst comes to worst, I can always clear the code and get it down the road.
Gotcha. Yeah, I bought that OTR tool. It's pretty handy because you can clear codes and do forced regens and stuff like that, and see what the code is referring to. Yeah, that's interesting. Have you started using that max mileage that Pittsburgh Power sells for the admission system? That stuff works pretty good. It takes care of a lot of your emissions problems.
And what is it again?
It's a fuel additive. It's called max mileage fuel catalyst. Pittsburgh Power is they didn't invent it, but they're marketing it. Pittsburgh Power out of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania.
I have to try it out, but now I had one of those 249 minutes pop up on me the other day, so I just hooked up my Insight to it, just cleared the code, and every time I hook up to it, it says set level is low, so I usually don't have a problem. My system seems to be working just fine. All the sensors and everything are still kicking. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I think the new emission systems, that's a 2023. Anything beyond 2019, I think was they kind of they solved a lot of the issues. I don't know what they did, but the emission systems have gotten better, and they're not been a big problem like they were in 2012 and 2013. Those trucks were a disaster. But that treatment, that fuel treatment, it lowers the soot level that the fuel produces. It actually helps the fuel burn more efficiently, to where it causes less soot to go through your emission system. But it sounds like even without running that, you haven't had all that much trouble.
No problem whatsoever. But I'm always got in the back of my mind. What year is your truck?
This Kenworth is a 2021. I haven't had this one all that long. Jeff's got my 2020. It's identical. Came out of the same fleet. But these have PACCARs in them. And first time I've tried a PACCAR. I bought nothing but cat before. I still got a cat at the house, but I kind of like these PACCARs. I got to be honest.
You got the 455 or the 510 in that one?
The 455. This came out of a van fleet. So it's just the 455 with a 12-speed auto. It's kind of horrible for a flatbed because I got the tall roof sleeper going on, but it just was, you couldn't beat the price. It had a diesel APU came with it, and it's like, I looked at the Milton trucks, which is the Milton fleet is kind of what I was looking at to purchase for flatbed, but they were too expensive and they didn't have APUs.
Yeah, Milton does take pride in their trucks, but they're well taken care of. I will vouch for that. And as far as the PACCAR motor is concerned, Bob was getting them all the time. He's the owner of Milton, and then they started having problems with them, and that was during the first and second generation PACCARs, but they've gotten a little bit better. That PACCAR motor is a really good motor. Problem is, it's so hit or miss because I just think PACCAR's quality is not always there on top of their spec most of the time. But those PACCARs are technically theoretically designed to be lighter and run 1 million miles, but they're just expensive to work on.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I've been happy with mine, but that is the one problem with them over a Cummins is that you got to go to the dealership for nearly everything. There's very few outside of dealership mechanics that can work on them other than for small things. Anything to do with the computers, you got to have a dealership plug into it.
Yep, that's definitely, and even if you own the truck and have the title in your hand, that car will not give you the ECM code.
Right, yep, it's completely locked out. Yeah, whereas Cummins is not that way. So Cummins is a little better in that way. The PACCAR is a smaller liter engine, and like you say, it's much lighter. So theoretically, because it's smaller liter and much lighter, it should be more fuel efficient. But I don't know if anybody's necessarily proven that.
They haven't been around that long to really figure out that they keep fucking changing them. But I can speak that they are really efficient. They really, really are. But like I said, if you can just get past the gremlins underneath the hood.
Yeah, I've had my 2020 for almost 300,000 miles, and this one for maybe 30,000 miles. So, and we haven't had any problem. The 2020 did have a actuator go in the turbo at the start of this year, but it had 650,000 miles at that point, so I wasn't really blaming too much on the truck. But other than that, we haven't had any real problems. NOx sensors, each NOx sensor got replaced. The inlet and the outlet, but that's to be expected at that mileage. That truck's at over 700 now.
What oil are you using that thing?
Say that again.
What oil are you using? Using synthetic, full synthetic, or just regular oil?
The 2020, when I bought it, it had just had a long block put in because it had a sunk liner on the original engine, and that's why I picked it, because it was in the shop getting a new long block when I was looking at buying trucks. I said, I'll take that one. So I ran T5 in it, semi-synthetic, for the first 50,000 miles, I think. Then I switched to a T6 1030 full synthetic, and that's what it's got in it now. This truck here has T5 in it because I couldn't find the full synthetic when I first bought it, and I ordered some full synthetic from Hot Shot Secret that's sitting at the shop ready to go in there.
Yeah, I use T4 in this one, Littell, or whatever it's called, but I get about 30,000 miles of oil change on it. It's done really well, and I get an oil analysis done every time I do it. And I just did one this last weekend, and everything seems to be good. It's got a little bit of nickel showing in it now, but that's just because it's got 500,000 miles on it.
Gotcha. What Why don't you use a 1030? I thought because the T4 is going to be a 1540. For that year of engine, I would think you'd want to run a 1030, wouldn't you?
No, the specs is day one I got it. I always had 10W40 in it, so I just ran the same thing.
Yeah, you mean the 1540?
Yeah, 15W40. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think the specs, even on my Packers, it says you can run anything from 1540 to 1030, but I thought the recommended oil was a 1030, but maybe there is no recommendation.
I'll go back and look, but I just know, they've always told me 15W40, and I got a buddy of mine that's a chemist over at Industrial Oil there, and also that's all they do is make blending oils and lubricants and stuff like that. And they've got Cosbeck, and he does all my oil analysis, and he's always somebody running a semi-synthetic T4 in there, and he says that I always run 15W40 unless you plan on running up to the northern states or Alaska. But he says out there really not that much of a difference between the 30 and the 40.
Oh yeah, that's I forgot you. From where you live, the hotter states, the 40 weight probably doesn't make much difference, but it does. The 30 weight would be a little more fuel efficient. I doubt you'd notice it much, but
yeah, and I wouldn't want to change now. With the truck, pretty much, I would say, I guess you could say I'm an old creature of habit, but if I change it now, that's when I probably think something would start dramatically going wrong.
yeah, I know. We all are that way. It's been going fine. We're gonna leave it alone.
Now, the only problem I'm having with this truck is I got to put a new clutch in it here pretty soon, probably here in the next 10 to 15,000 miles. It's starting to kind of make a little bit of grainy sound. What had happened was my blowout bearing was to get grease, even though I was greasing the inserts every month, that it was clogged up with dirt. So the blowout bearing never got grease apparently, and you got to pop that inspection cover off the bottom of the transmission. And when I took it to my shop, and they're like, man, when's the last time we greased this? And then my mechanic came in and says, hey, you just did it last week. I was out there watching them and talking to them. But now, with all the dirt roads and stuff I'm on, you just got to be careful on that. So that's my fault. I should have probably done better, just trusted those grease inserts, but I'll know next time.
Right, because you've got that line that comes out the bottom of the inspection plate, and on the other end, it wasn't getting into the bearing.
That's correct. Yeah, there's a piece of dirt or mud or something like that just eventually clogged up the line just enough for it to not get any grease on the bearing, and it doesn't take long to roll it before you start frying it. But luckily for me, we caught it in time where the blowout bearing's just making just a little bit of noise, but as long as it's not kicking out of gear, I could run it for a little bit longer. And I ordered a clutch yesterday, and that was $2,200.
Yep. I wonder if that Cummins has quite a bit of torque. I wonder if it goes through clutches quicker. I guess it's not any different than my Cat's, right?
No, you probably won't really see a difference. I do like the Jake brakes on the Cummins versus the Caterpillar. The Cummins does have a harder hit Jake.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I haven't driven a Cummins in forever, but yes, even the Packard has a much better Jake brake than the Cat. The Cat, I love the Cat. It's my favorite engine, but man, that Jake brake really leaves something to be desired. This little tiny Packard will beat the hell out of the Cat when it comes to jaking power. It's ridiculous.
Well, they passed this law where light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks all no longer need the depth system. They roll it back for pre-2009. I think you're going to see Caterpillar get back in the game as far as manufacturing truck engines, and I think they're going to probably redesign to make sure their jakes work better. I can only hope.
Well, I think a lot of that jaking power in the Cummins and the Packard the Packard come from the VGT turbo, and the exhaust control valve, or the back pressure control valve. So, which Cat never had because they were too, they were produced before the VGT was really a thing. So, that could be the reason right there.
You may very well be possible.
When you if you have to eventually replace that truck, are you gonna go with the new 589, the new long nose Pete, or are you gonna stick with the 389?
No, when it's paid for, this will be my last truck. I'll just keep rebuilding her until it's time for me to retire.
Gotcha. Have you heard anything about those new Pete's? Are they any good, or are they kind of a flop?
Hit or miss. What I personally like about them is I like the cab. There's a little bit more space between the two seats, but the sleeper is about the same as it is now. The only thing I'm going to do different to mine is that I think that I'm going to stretch my frame probably 6 more inches, and then I think I'm going to go have an ARI sleeper put on it, because I'm tired of dealing with truck stops and dealing with all the dirty toilets and all that. I'm going to just buy a sleeper that has my bathroom in it and be done with it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. What frame length do you have now?
280 inch.
So with 290, you think you can fit on a good sleeper? Seems a little short, doesn't it?
Well, that's a good question. Whenever I get ready to do it, I'm going to take it up to ARI up there in Indiana, and I'm going to let them do it. But they told me they should be able to stretch it probably 6 to 8 inches, and they should be able to put I think they said a 90-inch sleeper on it, and that's really all I need.
Yeah, that's always the problem. If I look at those trucks, the problem is they add so much weight, and then your length is a problem with getting in and out of job sites. You end up scraping tanks on, and then turning radius too. So you're probably wise to keep that length down as short as you can.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too crazy on it, but it's just something I'm entertaining. Who knows? I might just keep it all the same and just keep rebuilding everything. And once the truck's fully paid for, obviously my overhead's going to change a lot where I don't need to work as hard. So we'll see what happens.
I think some of the foreigners have come up with a way around that big AR sleeper. You just cut a hole in the floor. I think that works pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll let you try that out, and you just let me know how it goes.
Okay. Yeah, you get you a gallon of water, and you cut the hole in the floor, and you're good to go.
Yeah, no, thank you. This truck does not have a BMA in it, and I don't want one.
Well, that was pretty cool. I had a nice CB conversation with a couple of truck drivers. I didn't get the camera turned on in time. I was talking to a Landstar driver. He said he was 70 years old, flatbed guy. And you didn't get to hear that conversation because I turned the camera on right as that conversation was ending, and the camera battery was dead, so I had to plug it in. But yeah, that was a fun conversation, you guys. It's fun to talk to different people out here and see what they're coming up with, and it's interesting. Both that 70-year-old guy leased a Landstar, and the guy behind me right now in the red 389 Pete, they both kind of said things that I agree with. Also things that I've seen in the marketplace. The Landstar guy said that he's seen the shift from relationship style freight to everything just going to the spot market. He said he used to have good relationships with all these agents. Now he can't even speak to the agents because they don't speak English, and everything's just going to spot market. It's all being posted 27 different times, and it's just, you can't really get in a groove of working with the same person, because as soon as you do it just, I don't know, it just seems like that's the new trend. Everybody's using technology to try to move freight instead of using relationships to move freight. And even the old 70-year-old truck drivers that are trying to do it and would rather have a guy to call rather than look at the load board, it's just a struggle because nobody wants to move freight that way anymore. It's just, both him and I agree that seems to be the new movement. I don't know. And it was interesting to hear that myself and this guy behind me try to think about the money very similar. And I think that's something that we all kind of accidentally come up with after doing this for a few years, that you need to keep your revenue per day at a certain level. And sometimes it's best not to look at the dollar per mile. Like, if you heard what he said, I don't even look at my deadhead, because if I look at my deadhead, the rate gets too depressing. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes you have to sometimes you have to ignore some things so you don't get too depressed out here, guys. So anyway, I thought that was a fun CB conversation to record and post. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So I don't know if you guys caught that conversation very much, but I'm not sure how the audio is going to come through on the CB side, but that guy, he's pulling a 3-axle step deck, Big Bubba trailer. So I think it's going to be a Rant brand. And he's at 111,000 pounds right now. Holding I didn't catch exactly what he had. Some sort of machinery that goes to the wind farms up here in Lyman, Colorado. But so he's got the new X15 Cummins with an 18 speed. It sounds like 325 rear end gears, somewhere between 308 and 336. Well, see, it could be 336 because of his tire size. I'll have to do the math on it. But I'm a big fan of fuel efficiency, and I've kind of been really curious about the new X15, because I went out on a limb and bought Packars, and I've been pretty impressed with them. But the X15, I always thought would not get as good a fuel mileage as the Packard, but he's got a 389 Peterbilt, pulling a step deck with 3 axles, and I think he said his fuel mileage today was 7.2. We're going west on 70 through Kansas, so we're going uphill. We shockingly have a tailwind right now, or at least mostly a tailwind. But even still, my mileage is 7.6. His is 7.2, hauling way more weight. So I'm pretty impressed. That X15 might be, sometimes when you listen to these guys, they like to, exaggerate fuel mileage. It's very difficult to get real fuel mileage out of guys, especially over the CB. Oh yeah, I get 27 miles a gallon. Really? Oh yeah. But it sounded like he was knew his stuff. So yeah, we might have to try an X15 next, guys. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I buy an X15 next? By the way, the next truck I buy is 10 years from now. So I don't know what it is, but I would like to give the X15 a shot. There's some advantages to it, I think. Weighs a little bit more, so that's a disadvantage, but anyway, thought I'd point that out, what he was pulling. I don't know if you guys caught it. It's a 3-axle step deck with grossing out right now at 111,000 pounds. So that's pretty impressive out of the X15, and it's a performance series, which, should be the least fuel efficient how do we say it, power rating of that engine. If you go with the 450, that's a much more efficient, or even the 400, that's down in the efficiency series, where you're able to get that power and torque down and lower in the curve, where you can kind of maximize more fuel efficiency. But at 7.2, hauling that much going uphill, and he's deadheading all the way back. So by the time he gets all the way back, he'll be probably clear up over 8. Of course, if I deadhead all the way back, might be as high as 9.5. But I'm running super singles and legal weight, so it definitely puts it in the ballpark where, for flatbed, you know, it's not a huge difference between buying an aero truck with a PACCAR and a non-aero truck, 389, not spec'd properly for fuel mileage, really. I mean, that's spec'd for performance, right? 18-speed manual, 325 gears, and these 565 Performance Series. That's a performance truck, not a fuel-efficient truck. And it's doing quite well, so thought it'd be interesting to point that out.